Welcome to Zoom Tennis. Really important this week, digital well-being, and actually how to live more offline. So Alex La Via, welcome to Zoom Tennis, and I'm really pleased to see you here today talking about digital well-being. How are you?
Hi Chris, I'm good, thank you. And it's an absolute pleasure to be here with you on Centre Court. And no trip to Wimbledon would be complete without strawberries. So
Oh my goodness!
Afterwards.
You are the first to bring refreshments. That means you're going to beast me off the court quickly and just get it over and done with, aren't you?
I wish I could share them with you is the only thing. Hey, we're in this virtual environment. So.
Well, there's always HelloFresh. You can just send me a package next week full of strawberries.
Keep that in mind.
Okay, we're going to get into the questions. Really important topic, this one. So we've obviously been through an awful lot in the last 7 months, and we've had this blended approach towards work and office and home all coming together. So how can we cope with that environment of having to almost live, breathe and sleep our workplaces in our homes now?
Yeah, well, digital well-being is absolutely vital to the issues that many organisations are facing at the moment around well-being, performance and connection when working remotely. And it's all about the way in which we use technology and using it well, but without suffering the unintended negative consequences. So working days have lengthened from 9 to 11 hours each day, and we're receiving more messages each day. Microsoft Teams recently showed that the number of Teams chat messages have increased every hour of the day, but most significantly at the hours outside of the traditional 9 to 5, which goes to show how key the blurring of boundaries between home and work is, and that ability to switch off outside of the always on working day. And there's another factor at play as well in this remote environment, which is e-presenteeism, which is something I've been speaking to a lot of my clients about, and really resonates. And if you've ever noticed your status turn amber whilst working and felt a sense of anxiety and a need to touch the laptop, or you've ever noticed a team member's status amber and wondered whether they are kind of working, then you've seen that e-presenteeism in action. And it's something that is vital, because the impact of this goes across both well-being and performance, because when we are constantly glued to our screens and checking our emails as and when they come in, that actually has an impact on our ability to be productive. With one study showing it takes on average 23 minutes to get back to the same task with the same level of focus when we are distracted. And it's incredible, isn't it?
23 minutes.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We don't always come exactly back to, we can go off on other tasks before we come back. And, they've shown that multitasking is actually a myth. We might think that we can manage this, but actually we just lose quite a bit of time in ways that are quite hard to see at first. But when you change your working practices, it makes a real difference.
Yeah. Brilliant. Okay. Well, I definitely have that sort of anxiety feeling of thinking, I wonder if everybody else knows that I've just gone out for a walk for 2 hours. So I often will communicate, just going out for 2 hours, just so you know. That's a great answer, Alex. Thank you so much. Good.
Yeah. Well, I'm interested to know, so from yourself in this point, whilst we've been going through all of this change, what have you done to keep yourself mindful and alert during this period?
Oh, I was probably quite a routine orientated person anyway, but I've really tried to make sure that when I'm at work, I'm at work, and when I'm not, I'm not. So literally people will often see me walking around the village, 7:45 as a matter of principle, out the door, have a little circuit. And then when I come back in again, coat off, coffee on, and then I think I'm physically entered my workplace, and then I'm actually physically then working. But also I actually have an alarm on my phone, and it goes off at certain points in the day, and it says, just have a break and go and check out and go and get some fresh air. Even if it's chucking it down, just disconnect for a bit and then connect back at it, and try to keep a balance of both screen time and non-screen time. And more recently, I've really become more attuned to the fact that whilst I'm having a lovely conversation with you now, Alex, the phone is just as good to have that mechanism. And I've said to people, should we just do a walk and talk meeting? Or should we just perhaps physically meet together in a way that we can safely do so, and have a walk around a park or walk around a lane somewhere? Some of my coaching clients, we've actually adopted principles where we've had a coaching walking session.
Yes.
And it's so much more invigorating for both of us to have had an hour and a half coaching session, look at our watches and think, well, we've just done 12,000 steps in that time period as well. So those are, but for me, it's just really, really meticulous routine and thinking, okay, I'm now offline. I've closed all my devices down, and I've actually sort of physically walked away from my office environment and then re-engaging back into my home life. That's been really important for me.
Yes, I love that, because so much of what we're working with is habits and they're unconscious. So routine is so important. And the walking meetings is something that I definitely advocate and have used kind of myself. And I'm interested, Chris, do you find that you're actually more creative and you have more, you're able to think more clearly when you're doing walking meetings as well?
Well, for me, my best ideas always come from my running. I don't know what it is, but somebody, they'll say, just go for a run and clear your head. And I absolutely live by that principle. And I do a little bit of neuro work in terms of why that happens. And it just develops certain sensations in your lymph nodes and the whole fact that the blood sugar goes to your head. And it actually allows also the brain to rest in a funny way, because it knows that it's got muscle repetition, and it now begins to create cognitive processes that are creative. So for me, exercise is just a place that I get my best ideas. It's really important to come back in, find your phone on your notepad and go, idea on the pad, don't forget it. Because within 15 minutes of coming back, you get distracted. Then you think, what was I thinking about? What was that great idea? So yeah, I've got a couple actually that will come along in the next few weeks that I thought about only Monday night. I was running and thought, that's a really nice idea about sort of recognition and kindness that I'm going to spin into the last week of December. So perhaps you'll come on that journey with me when I tag you in that post.
Absolutely. And one thing you might like to do, so I sometimes try out, is going for a walk, especially if I've hit a creative wall, and bring my phone with me, an example of using technology well, and actually record. So actually I walk in the, in the local paths, in the trees, and actually dictate, maybe a blog post or a project that I'm working on, and then I can come home and then type that up. So like you say, then, not forgetting.
I think I saw a post about mad woman in park talking to phone by herself on Facebook. Was that you?
Oh, I'm not sure. It could well be. If she was in Yorkshire, then who knows?
Okay, well, we've had a little rally there, so that was a good exchange of shots. Next question to you then, Alex. So from a leadership perspective, we both talk to leaders an awful lot in our client work. In order to be seen to be supporting the team and having this healthy balance between technology and non-technology, what things have you seen that's working really, really well now for employees and employers?
Yeah, thanks, Chris. And I mean, absolutely. The key here is that you embed healthy digital culture within your culture. So it's a lived experience. And so the way in which you can get to this is, the first step is awareness. There are so many different challenges that are experienced in different ways that you need to know kind of within your team, what are your greatest challenges and what are you doing well as well? Is this switching off outside of work, Zoom exhaustion, too many messages and so on? So what is your current reality? And with that bottom up data, then looking ahead at what you want your outcomes to be, and then setting those out. So there's a great example from IBM with their working from home pledges. If any organizations are interested, you can take a look at that document. It's a wonderful example of setting out explicitly what you want your working from home culture to be. But the key is that that's got to be lived and it's got to be embedded within your organization. So in order to do that, then explicit expectations are fantastic. So actually letting teams know the way in which you are wanting to work together. something that's been really powerful recently in organizations is telling people that it's okay to work that bit more flexibly during these darker winter months, and encouraging getting out and going for a walk. Things like walking meetings are brilliant, but also being sure to take your breaks. And I've seen examples where just that message, you know, to say it's okay is enough to change behavior, because quite often, you know, we struggle to be able to take those breaks, and it can make a difference. And then also management training is key. So a report from Deloitte in January of this year showed that management training has one of the best returns on investment when it comes to wellbeing initiatives. And it's ensuring that we're empowering our managers with the skills and the tools to be able to support their teams with these issues that really matter at this time, so that you can make changes. And so one of the things then, if say it's Zoom fatigue you're wanting to change, then you can look, there are so many different ways to use remote meetings. So you can shorten them, bring work in advance so you're doing less in the meeting itself, make the meetings more engaging, make the most of some of the wonderful tools that we have around collaboration. It might be Slido or Mentimeter or other tools. And then so essentially remote meetings, I mean, it's crucial because they take the time from every single person invited. There's a cognitive impact in terms of this video call exhaustion. And also, if they're not done well, it can exacerbate disconnection instead of helping people feel more connected. So, so that is one area which is really valuable to address as well during remote working. But I imagine this is something that you do quite a lot with in your group coaching, Chris. So how do you make sure that your delegates have an engaged and connecting experience?
Yeah, thanks for that. Let me just think about the answer. Explicit expectations. Is that an IBM sort of mantra there? Is it that they really want to live by?
No, well, explicit expectations is actually a mantra that I use, but IBM have their working from home pledges. And I think pledges, are a great way of making you stop and think, what is it that I want to do? Then putting the accountability out there by stating to your team, this is my pledge. It can either be management, you kind of top down, you're setting out what your culture and your pledges are, but you can also do this just within your team. You get together and just say, actually, this week, I want to make sure I take my lunch breaks. And this week, I'm going to do Chris's fake commute where I go for a walk before I start my working day. And, that can make a real difference in terms of embedding change and actually making it part of how you work each day.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, actually, you give me a nice segue there, because anything that I'm doing on the online space, I always start with the rules of engagement, just like you would on an airplane, fire exits here, safety masks here. And I do the same in a meeting. I talk about how it's going to start, how we need to engage, how long it's going to be. And if we have got like a 90-minute session, I'll say, and we will break after 45 minutes. I never, ever go on for more than 45 minutes because I don't think the brain works for that amount of time effectively. So I say to people, by the way, if you are busting for the toilet or you need a water break, we will break at 1:45 or 1/4 and I religiously make sure we stick to that. And then the other key thing is that I think people come to meetings almost in their ice cube. They're like little Eskimos in their ice cubes. And it's the facilitator's job to warm them up through interaction, through engagement, asking questions, but then also designing the slide deck or the format of the meeting in a way that keeps them warm. So we have to break off slides. We have to allow pauses for questions, and equally pausing to underpin the learning that we've just put together. And it really gets my goat up when you join a webinar and literally the speaker speaks for 40 minutes and then they say, any questions? And I just don't think that it would happen in the real world, in a meeting room or in a plenary session or at a TEDx talk. And yet so many people haven't learned the skill. I'm not suggesting I'm a master at it, but there's so many people that still haven't really embedded themselves to invest in, how can I make this meeting effective, embedded, and enduring for the participants to make sure that the time that they put in gives a reward back, both in terms of cognitive and also money return for the business.
Yeah, I love that. And you're also missing out on the wealth of knowledge that exists within the teams that you're working with. And actually some of the great ideas come out of those explorations, that interactivity, as you say. So I couldn't agree more. Yeah.
Well, and I've been to one of your seminars, and I would absolutely say to anybody, you are not one of the 40-minute download speakers that just says, I'm here, aren't I fantastic? You are very, very playful. You had lots of different tools that we used in terms of the chat, in terms of annotation, in terms of Mentimeter. I was like, wow, where are we going now? You know, it was kind of all over the place, and I really enjoyed it. So if you want to see meetings facilitated well, then book Alex La Via for one of your sessions, and she'll show you how it can be done.
Fantastic. Really appreciate that. And I hope to see you in action at some point too, Chris. I'm sure I'd have a lot to learn as well. And,
stop it. Okay. So Alex, just in terms of the last 6 months, just reflecting backwards, what do you think your tip is for people to really learn from that you can pass on about your digital experience or your COVID experience to date?
Yeah. So I think for me, it would definitely be to have regular breaks from technology. So, and embedding those as very small breaks throughout the day, so that you are able to check in on how you are feeling, and you are able to, kind of take care of your well-being. So I would say, just making sure that you are getting that balance, you're taking your breaks and you're caring for yourself, because ultimately, if we lose connection to that well-being within ourselves, then we're never going to be able to do our best work. So putting on that seatbelt, that face mask, first for yourself, before you then are trying to go out into the world and take care for your teams as well.
Well, and I know that you live what you preach, because only this morning you were out having a lovely walk in the countryside, I think, with your sister. Is that right?
That's correct. Yes, absolutely. So on a Thursday morning, my sister is free, so I try to get out and take advantage of the daylight hours myself whenever I can. So that was a wonderful experience.
Awesome. Good. Well, I'm going to put up our contact details here, Alex, so that people can learn more about you and how they can get hold of you and how they can engage with you. So this is Alex. Wonderful slide deck. Please do what Alex, Live More Offline is your email, mobile number there, and your website. So Alex, it's a real pleasure to share Centre Court with you today. It's been a lovely match. And anything else?
No, I'm looking forward to getting to these strawberries. So thank you, Chris.
All right, take care. We'll see each other again soon. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
All right, bye-bye.